that God gave us lassos, to do, to make, to dream, not just to accomplish, not just to do things, not just to work, but lassos, to make something, to aspire to something, to want to be something more. Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos. Parshas Vayishlach. Yaakov contends with the angel, finishes contending with the angel, and he turns to the Malach, to the Sarshal Esav, the representative of our Yetzhara, of all things evil in the world. And he turns to him and he says, Vayishlach Yaakov v'yomer agidon shemecha, tell me your name. V'yomer lama zeh tishal l'shmi, what are you asking my name for? Vayivarach es Hashem, and he blessed him there. And the standard understanding is that the reason that he tells him, Rashi himself explains it this way, that there isn't a shem kavua, that the name changes depending on the person, and depending on the shlichus that it has. Every person has a different Yetzhara, every person has a different thing that drags them down, a different thing that pushes them off the path. And therefore, the Yetzhara doesn't have a standard name. It's not a thing called, this is the Yetzhara. Because everybody has their own personal, particular Yetzhara. And that's beautiful. But maybe there's a little more of a drushy explanation. That he turns to him and he says to him, Vayomer lama zeh tishal l'shmi. Want to know what my name is? My name is what the biggest Yetzhara is? What your biggest challenge in life is going to be? Is lama zeh tishal, when you hit that place of who cares? Who cares? Why would I ask? Why do I need to ask? I'm not aspiring to anything. I have no drives, no motivations. I don't care enough about anything to push myself to question it. I'll do it, but lama zeh tishal it doesn't pique me. It doesn't tickle my interest, tickle my fancy to look at it and to say, I wonder what all this is about. I want to do this better. I want to know this more. I don't care enough. That's the biggest Yetzhara. That's what Sarah Shalesav was telling Yaakov. Do you want to know what's going to undo you? Lama zeh tishal. Apathy, lack of drive, lack of motivation, lack of aspirations, lack of shifas. That's what's going to take you down. You know, we see that when we built the Mishcon. So the Torah makes a big deal about Nesius Lev, about the lifting up of the heart, the Nedivus Lev, the giving of the heart. It's different for the givers than it is for the donators, but at the end of the day, there was still a lev, there was still a heart that was necessary. Because the heart wasn't merely just that it was an emotional experience, but that they were committed to it. Vayigba libo b'darchei Hashem, that they were totally dreamed. They had a she'ifa, they had a desire, they had an aspiration to be a part of this process. They aspired for something more, for a greater connection to God, whether it be through donation or whether it be through making, but they aspired to something more. Our Avos aspired. You know, it says that God hates a Matzevot. He hates a Matzevot, a one-stone monolith. But he loves a Mizbeach. He loves when it's made of many stones. And one of the explanations that the rabbis give, the reason that God hates a Matzevot, because a Matzevot is one stone that says, this is what I am. Now, Avram built a Matzevot, but he had to build a Matzevot because Avram had to develop his characteristic. Yitzchak had to develop who he was. Yaakov had to develop who he was. But once they developed themselves, now the symbol for us is a Mizbeach. A Mizbeach is made of many, many stones. That means that we have dreams and aspirations, that we have hopes and desires of becoming something, of making something of ourselves, of doing something with ourselves. Because when we have no aspirations, that's our undoing. A huge part of Avodah Hashem, of serving God, is not just doing the things that we do, but having a she'ifa, having a aspiration, a hope, to becoming something, to reaching for something higher, to developing ourselves religiously, emotionally, our personality, our actions, the things that we do, the things that we believe in, the things that we desire, the things that we dream about, to constantly changing those, to constantly looking for something more, to climbing something higher. That's what the Malach was saying to Yaakov Avinu, it's all about aspiring. We're given the main mitzvah of the Jewish people's Brismila, the thing that sets us apart, one of the main mitzvahs. And the concept of a Brismila is that we are not born perfect, and that we have to take things off sometimes. We have to do things in order to be able to make ourselves to reach perfection, and we have to care about reaching perfection. That's what life is all about. And we walk around with that mark on our bodies to remind ourselves that it's constantly about aspiring for something. It's constantly about reaching for something higher. God gives us Shabbos, and he says to us on Shabbos that God gave us lasos, to do, to make, to dream, not just to accomplish, not just to do things, not just to work, but lasos, to make something, to aspire to something, to want to be something more. That's what Yaakov Avinu learned, and Yaakov Avinu taught us. Says, you know what? Hagidana Shmecha, tell me your name. That in itself is an aspiration. I want to know something. I want to know something more. And the Malach turns to him and says, you know what your biggest challenge in life is going to be? Lamazet Tishal. Not caring enough to try to aspire and to dream. Keep aspiring, my friends. Keep dreaming. Keep climbing. Keep contending. Keep fighting. Keep being Yisrael. Kisarisa Elokim. Fighting, grappling, searching, caring, looking, climbing. Keep doing that. And that's when we can vanquish that Yetzhara. And that's Vayishlach Hashem. That's going to be the place of our greatest blessing and the place of our greatest growth.